Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we are going to discuss about RAG. So before we start uh, discussing RAG, let me show you something. So here I am creating a simple chatbot, and I want this chatbot to answer HR related questions. For example, my employee wants to know what is remote work policy, and here I am using Ollama as a LLM. You can use your favorite LLM here, but for the demo purpose I'm using Ollama and it's running locally. So let's see what will be the response of this conversation. I will just run this application. Okay, I got some response, but if you see, this is made up response by LLM. The LLM is clearly hallucinating. I'm not getting the right response. If you see, I have HR policy here, right? And I want my chatbot to go through this policy and provide me the proper response, but that's not happening. And this is where RAG comes into the picture. So now we are going to solve this problem using RAG. All right. So before you start implementing, you should have Ollama installed on your machine, and then you should install Ollama, ChromaDB, and pdfplumber using pip install. And then you have to pull Ollama, uh, you have to pull Llama 3.2 and embed text dependencies, right? So you need to invoke these three commands. I have already done that. Okay, that's why I can import Ollama, ChromaDB, pdfplumber, right? So now, so the first step here is to extract the text information from PDF. Okay, so I'm using pdfplumber library. I'm opening that PDF file, and then I'm looping over the pages, and I'm returning the text information. So let's go step by step. Okay, so this is my main method. Okay, and the name of file is hrpolicy.pdf. I'm reading it using os.path exist. If this file does not exist, I'm throwing an error, right? If yes, then I'm reading this HR policy PDF, and I'm passing it to extract text from PDF method. So this method uses pdfplumber to read the PDF file, extract the text information, and it returns me the text information. Now my step one is completed. I have extracted entire PDF in the text format in memory. And the next step is you have to split those text into smaller chunks, because it's not possible to handle a large text, right? So I'm using chunk text method. I'm splitting that up into smaller chunks, right? So I have created chunks. Now we have to create something called as vector DB. The vector DB is basically used for similarity search. So when I ask information about remote work, I can go to the exact line of exact text and fetch that exact information. So now I'm passing all my chunks to build vector store method. So here you can see I'm using ChromaDB as a database, but in your production application you can replace that with SQL or Postgres. So I have created a client, Chroma client, right? I'm passing the collection name here, and basically building the vector database, right? I'm adding up all the chunks in the vector, right? And now the next step is to query, right? So I have some sample questions here. For example, what is the remote work policy? How do I apply for maternity leave? Right? These are my questions. And my PDF file is stored into this collection. Basically, it's in the vector form, it's in the ChromaDB. So when when I ask a question, I have to fetch that information from collection. So how do we do that, right? So let's see that. Okay, so the query, the fourth step is extremely important step. So as I said, I have everything stored in form of vector db in the collection variable, right? And I have some questions, right? So I'm looping over those questions, right? So I'm passing the vector db embedded text document, the PDF document, and a question. Now in RAG query method, I am embedding the question that is coming from the user, right? And you see, I'm querying on the collection. So this is where the matching happens. So I have tons of information in vector DB, and I have a very specific question. So the data, the information related to my question will be fetched using vector matching. Now here I have result, and now I have a prompt here, right? You are an HR assistant. Use the context below to answer the employee's question, right? So my LLM had no context. You see, when I asked the question to LLM, what is the remote work policy? It did not know about the remote work policy. But now it exactly knows about the policy because I'm passing the context, right? So it has the prompt, which includes the context, which includes the employee question, and I should get appropriate response. Let's run this code and see what happens. Okay, you can see how many days of annual leave. Okay, according to section 3.1, the HR policy are entitled to 18 days earned leave. And if I go to this HR policy here, and if I see leaves, you see earned leaves, right? 18 days. So it is getting the context, and you know it's asking the questions. Now you see the question about remote work policy, right? This question is very appropriate comparing to the earlier response that we had. Right now I'm getting the proper response. Let me summarize what we exactly did here. We have a PDF file. We extracted the text from that PDF file. We divided that into smaller chunk. Here we have chunk size, right? Now we embedded and we stored that information in ChromaDB in vector format. So we use vector for the similarity search. So when I ask a question here, my question was sent to this method, right? So I converted my question into embeddings. So I did similarity search on the collection, on the text, PDF text. Now I got relevant information. I prepared a prompt. I passed on that exact relevant information. Here in the context, I passed the question that came from the user. You see, we are passing the original question in the prompt, but when we do the search on vector DB, we have to embedded that, right? So that two vectors will be compared and the closest and the most relevant information will be retrieved, right? And we are retrieving that relevant information. We are concatenating this in the context. So we have passed the context, right? And we have also passed question to the LLM. Now LLM has prompt. It includes the context, the relevant information. Whereas in this code, it only had a question. It had no context. It was not aware of my company's policy. Now it knows about my company's policy. It knows about my question, and you can see here I'm getting very good response. So I'm going to put a debug point here and let's see what are we passing in the context, and let me run this in a debug mode. Okay, you see it retrieved the information that is relevant to my question from the vector DB, and it is injecting that into the prompt. Okay, so here is little summary of today's tutorial, right? uh, so you can check there are 6 steps involved here. We extracted the text, we split text into some pieces, we convert each text to vector, right? And we store that into vector DB, that is our ChromaDB. uh, we embed user question to find similar chunks from the vector DB, and we pass on the question and the result to LLM to get the most relevant response. That's it. Thank you. Please subscribe my channel. Have a nice day.